Diana, lovely to see you. Diana. Firstly, would you like to introduce yourself?
So my name is Diana Chrouch, and I am the Special Advisor to the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Black, Asian and Minority Ethnic Business Owners. I'm also the National Lead for BAME Business Policy for the Federation of Small Business, and I also run my own consultancy service where I do diversity and inclusion strategies and also marketing, communication, engagement strategies as well. That's quite a lot to keep me busy.
It is, it sounds inspiring. Firstly, which leaders have inspired you as you've grown up?
So Oprah Winfrey is my sort of most inspiring Black businesswoman. Growing up, I didn't see very many successful Black women in my sphere of influence. And the fact that she was so very successful was inspiring. But also the fact that she always says, or she always said, be the change you want to see. And I found that really inspiring. And it is actually something that I tell myself frequently, to be the change you want to see, especially when things get tough.
Now, I know your parents also had a major influence in your life, haven't they?
They did indeed. My parents are Jamaican and part of the Windrush generation. Sadly lost my mother recently, but she was my, thank you, absolute hero. A very inspiring woman that was very ambitious for all of her children, sacrificed a great deal, and dad too, and my father as well. I think what I really admire about my mother was the fact that she did everything with such grace, even during difficult periods, and taught us to be resilient. So even when things were tough, she always encouraged us to try harder. And so I credit her a huge amount with what I've achieved. I mean, not to take anything away from dad, but he's a man, I'm a woman. And so I looked at mum very much for as a trailblazer of what a woman could be, even when things are difficult and challenging.
And your own inspiration, because you've achieved a great amount in recent years, where's your inspiration come? Because you have kind of battled for change, haven't you?
I certainly have. I mean, I'm extremely passionate to make sure that young people coming up or behind me are able to see that they have a stake in society, they can be successful business owners, and that things don't need to be as tough as they perhaps have been in the past for minority business owners such as myself. And certainly, I'd like to see things improve and more access to economic opportunities. And you know, perhaps let's put it like this: a fairer slice of the cake. I feel as though sometimes you see minority people with a ton of qualifications not quite achieving their full potential, and the only issue that I can see that differentiates them from their non-minority ethnic peers is that they are minorities. They may have a different skin color. I think that's unacceptable, and a huge part of my life's work at the moment is to bring change, is to work to turn that around.
Yeah, we've talked about this in recent months, haven't we? Are you seeing change happen? Are you positive about the changes coming? Or...
I certainly have. I mean, I think since the Black Lives Matter demonstrations last year, which obviously after the tragic death of George Floyd, I have seen a sea change, a massive amount of allyship amongst larger organisations and non-minority communities, and I'm particularly gratified by the outreach that organisations, big organisations, have done to reach out to minority communities to ask how they can help. how can we turn this around, and seeing discrimination and disadvantage as being everybody's issue. It isn't just an issue if you're a minority. So that's been good.
What's been your greatest learning in your career?
What's been my greatest learning? To be the change I want to see. I mean, I wish I'd have known this at the beginning of my career. I mean, you know, Oprah Winfrey happened along as I was had become an adult. But I wish I'd have known this, what I know now, when I was very young, because it's been in my later years in my career that I've just realised that, well, you know what, it's down to me that, you know, the all-party parliamentary group work that I'm doing, for instance, at the moment, was literally because I decided enough was enough and I want to change, and that perhaps I could do something about it. And you know, it felt quite audacious at the time when I sort of put my best foot forward, and presented myself to parliamentarians, and asked them to support the vision. And I was delighted, of course, when they did. But I mean, you know, it's that self-belief that I can be the change that I want to see.
I mean, dealing with parliamentarians is a different skill set, isn't it? You can obviously adapt yourself very effectively. Is that one of your core skills you've learned?
Well, I'm a communication specialist. It's what I do. So I do think that the way you communicate is important. But I also think that the time is right. You know, I think for change to happen, it has to be a lot of different factors need to come into play, including it being the right time in history. And clearly the APPG started before the Black Lives Matter explosion last year. But I just think that the time is right for change. We can see that there are some talented and deserving people that are contributing to the UK's economy and society, and actually that it's unreasonable and unacceptable that they don't have the same opportunities as non-minorities, and the time is now for change. And so I was knocking on an open door. There's been a huge amount of support and goodwill, and I'm grateful for that.
That's good. Success and failure come to us all. How's it impacted on you?
Well, I mean, I think that it's really okay to be disappointed when things don't work out the way that I want them to. But I guess that one of the great things, and the reason why my mother was always such a hero to me, is that when things go wrong, is that you sort of dust yourself off and start again. And she was a great one for sort of being supportive when things went wrong. So I mean, even though she was a very elderly lady before she died, I could call her anytime and complain about what was going on in the world. And she always had something wise to say. But then she would always say, "Go on," you know, Jamaican, bit of Jamaican there. "Go on," you know, don't stop, just keep moving forward.
That's interesting. Now, what would you tell your 18-year-old self if you were starting off again now?
Well, I said it. I would say be the change you want to see. I mean, I think that we can all spend time being disappointed and complaining about things not working out. But I think if I'd have realized when I was 18 years old that really I am the person that I am waiting for. There's a Black American poet, June Jordan, and she said, "We are the ones that we are waiting for." And you know, that really has always resonated with me. And I guess if I could go back to the 18-year-old me, I would actually explain that. You know, if I want change, it's up to me to roll up my sleeves and be the change I want to see.
That's fair enough. Final question: what are your hopes for the future?
Change.
I walked into that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
And do we think we're going to get that equality we're talking about?
I think we are. I think we are on the way. I mean, you know, the UK has a lot of issues, but in my things have changed exponentially. I love the energy of young people now, the sense of, the confidence and entitlement. They realize that they're stakeholders. If something is not okay, they're not going to be accepting it. I don't always agree with some of the methods, but I always agree with the sentiment that equality is it's a God-given right. It's our birthright.
Oh, Dan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.